There are a lot of podcasts out there, but only one with this kind of energy.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps, Predictions, Sports. Let go, Show Recaps, Predictions, Sports.
In one podcast.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps, Predictions, Sports. Let go.
What's going on, everybody? It's the EVP from the EVP Show, and we are live for your Big Brother Season 28 Week 4 recap show. What a wild night, eviction night. The house has they're definitely playing the game now, for sure. We got our first blindside of the season, which was interesting to see. Just give me a few seconds to get everything tweeted out. The HOH competition for week 5 will, if Jeff showed the episode on the West Coast, so the wall comp will be the infamous wall comp will be the competition, the HOH competition for week 5, which will not start until, and it's going to be on the live feeds until I believe it's at midnight Eastern time. So that's good. Gives me time to do the stream, and I will be able to watch the wall comp. Looking forward to that. Yeah, we got at the beginning of the week, it looked like this was going to be a pretty simple domination by the tool shed, which in all actuality it really was. But then just, I think last night, the house started to shift, and a couple of members of the tool shed, obviously one I will talk about during the show, was nominated. A couple of the original members of the Icons, which is Dee, Devins, and Angela, mainly Dee, she come up with the idea of to put the vote. So if you've been watching on the feeds, if you're on the East Coast or in the Central Standard Time Zone, you can see that the house is just the house is just completely shook up. The tool shed may not be the tool shed anymore after this vote. We will see. It'll be interesting to see how everything plays out after this HOH tonight, to see how it's going to go. A lot of people are denying the votes, but it's kind of hard to deny when the vote count was pretty lopsided. 3 people were on the wrong side of the vote, and they were all part of the tool shed. So let's go ahead and get started, guys. This is your Big Brother Season 28 Week 4 recap. I do know that there's a football game on. I was watching the Red Sox, which Wilbur Brady screwed me. Huge parlay. I needed a hit, just one hit, and he is not able to do that. He hit 2 home runs last night, but can't even hit it out of the infield tonight. So that's just how it goes. MLB is tough now, so time to start shifting my focus toward the NFL, because I'm sick of the Major League Baseball and its craziness. So let's kind of give a quick recap of everything. The Tool Shed Alliance, which is made up of Dee, Devins, Angela, Kamu, Haley, Chuck, Drew, and Barrett. Drew and Barrett have basically been controlling this game since week 1, which each member of the Tool Shed has. Dee won HOH the first week, and then we got the Devins winning the HOH the second week, Kamu winning week 3, and then here we are with week 4. So we've seen Ashley leave week 1 with the unanimous vote, and then Rome was evicted week 2. I believe he got 1 vote to stay week 2, and then we saw Jason. So week 3, and I believe that was also unanimous as well. So the Tool Shed Alliance has been controlling the narrative for 99.9% of the game until this week, which is interesting, which I thought was just going to be another boring week after The HOH comp was revealed on the Tuesday or Sunday episode. It was, but we're gonna kind of go through all that. Who won the HOH? Who won the BB Time Capsule, which is America's vote? Did they receive a power or a punishment? Who was the original nominees from the HOH? Who won the Golden Power veto? Was the Golden Power veto used? And who won the BB Blockbuster tonight in a very, very close, tight knit race between all three of them? And ultimately, who was the last two people sitting on the eviction chair? And what was the vote count? So we're going to kind of go through all of that. And it's basically going to take us into week 5, which will be next Thursday night. But as I said at the beginning of the stream, if you do have Paramount Plus, and you are able to watch the feeds live at 12 p.m. midnight Eastern Time, 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, the week 5 HOH will be on the feeds. It is the famous wall endurance comp, so that's always a fun one to watch. So if you guys are going to be up, which I believe the football game will be over by then, so I have not watched a snap of the football game. I was watching Big Brother and the baseball game. It's preseason, so I don't really watch too much preseason anyway. I believe it's a Hall of Fame game too, so you gotta see the first string in there for like a couple of series, and then you'll see the backups. And so yeah, it's not really anything I want to really invest any money into until the season starts. But it's good to see where people are starting off. So all right. So last week we saw Kamu from the Toolshed Alliance. He won the HOH. And ultimately, Jason, we had 2 backdoors. Ron was backdoored in week 2. And obviously, Jason was backdoored in week 3. So who is going to regain power in week 4? And who's going to go on the nomination block? We're going to talk about it. So Kamu is not eligible to compete in week 4 as he is the outgoing HOH. There is a power though. As I went over all the powers and punishments last week and the BB Time Capsule, if you get that power, you are eligible to compete in back-to-back HOHs, which Kamu does not have at this present time, so he is not going to be competing. So it's up to the rest of the members of the 7 out of the 8 members of the tool share will be competing, which they have the numbers. So, all right. So week 4 of Big Brother season 28. Back in time. It picked up immediately after the dramatic events of week number 3. With Jason gone and the house shrinking, everyone knew the game was entering a critical stage. Trust was becoming harder to find. Alliances were beginning to fracture, and every decision carried more weight than ever before. The biggest story entering the week was simple. No one felt completely safe. Relationships that looked solid 1 week earlier were already showing cracks. That is a big one there. And players started preparing for bigger moves instead of simply surviving another eviction. So the house guests remaining after 3 weeks. It's Haley, Drew, Melody, Lyric, Mallory, Barrett, Taylor, Lala, Dee, Devins, Kamu, Yash, Chuck, and Angela. So that's 14 people left. The season's moving right along. After tonight, we're down to 13 players left. So we're going to have a couple double evictions. So I believe the season ends in October. So we have another 8 weeks or so. It's going to go by fast. So with only 14 house guests remaining, the margin for error was shrinking quickly. So before we get into the HOH, we saw in week 1, Angela was. So if you go to cbs.com/bigbrothers/vote, I believe it is, it'll automatically pull up. But you're able to go in and vote for your favorite house guest. The house guest that received the most votes over a week's time will enter the BB Time Capsule. And only one person per week can win. So if you go in there week 1, then once you can't go back in there. So Angela went in there week 1, and she received the punishment, the hard boiled detective that she had to wear around. And then well, maybe it was week 2 when the time capsule started. I believe it was, because this is week 4. So yeah. So Angela received it in week 2. Week 3 was Devon's. Devon's actually received the biggest power in the game, which is the golden power of Vito. I mean, the diamond power of Vito, which basically allows him at the final veto ceremony to remove a player from the nomination block, and instead of the HOH making the renom, Devon's actually has the power to overtake the HOH in that circumstance and make the replacement nominee, which is labeled as the biggest power in the VB time capsule. So Devon's has got a lot of power. I believe it's still good for about somewhere between 4 to 6 weeks. I can't remember the exact time frame on. I believe it was 6. I can't remember if it was 6 to 8 weeks that was valid on that power. So let's talk about the BB time capsule this week. So America has voted, and we saw on Sunday's episode, it was D that from the winner of Survivor, and my odds-on favorite to win, person I'm ready for to win this season of Big Brother. She was voted for by America to go into the BB time capsule. It was speculated throughout the weekend that it was Drew, because he kept talking about flipping a coin and overtaking an HOH, which that is one of the powers. Is the where you can, if you get that power, you have a 50-50 shot to overthrow the HOH. It's basically decided by a coin flip. So everybody on the feeds and also on the internet was pretty convinced. I didn't catch all the feeds this weekend, but as much as I could, was convinced that Drew had the coin of destiny, but ultimately he did not. We saw that on Sunday's episode. That gave us the further clarification that Drew did not have that power. So D was voted in by America. She obviously was excited. She thanked America. So she sat on the chair, the same chair, and obviously there's stuff that's already been taken. You got one power and one disadvantage that's already been taken off the wall. So she sat in the chair. That it looks really difficult because that chair is spinning around, and you got to hit that button and make sure it lands on a power instead of a punishment, because some of those punishments are pretty brutal. You got to eat a lot of ham. You got to be tethered to someone. You got to wear a leotard. There's just so many different ones that one of the powers is obviously not being have not for the season, which that would be the one that I would really want to win, because I would not be wanting to take cold showers and eat slop for a week. So D, she enters the BB time capsule. She sits on the chair. She kind of examines the board, comes up with a strategy. She hits the button and she lands on the power. So not only did her final 2 person, Devon's from Survivor, D also has landed a power. So she opens up the time capsule to find out that she has won the BB Bribe power, which for me, truthfully, it's an okay power. It's definitely not the diamond power of Vito. But the best thing about this power is there is cash involved. It's $5,000, and also it is good for the entire game. Devon's has a time limit to be able to use his power. So that's the best thing. So how the BB Bribe works. This twist gives the owner the ability to influence the game through a strategic advantage at a crucial moment, forcing house guests to consider not only the social game but also hidden power that could change the outcome of a week. Even players without the advantage had to wonder who might secretly be holding it, creating additional paranoia throughout the house. So how this power works is D has this power throughout the rest of the game. She has to use this power in a strategic game sense, which means if she's able to convince somebody to put someone on the block or to backdoor someone or to throw a competition or anything game related, then she would receive the $5,000 in the BB Bra. So, like I said, it's not a game changing power, but ultimately it could be because depending on how she plans to use it, if she's able to, I don't want to get spoil the ending of tonight, but I don't think she did use her power for that. But if she's able to convince the HOH to sway away from putting someone else on the nomination block and then ends up putting somebody else up, then that is considered part of the BB bribe. Maybe if it's down to her and someone else as the final two in an HOH competition, and she is able to convince them to drop or to throw it or throw in a competition, even considered is considered part of the BB bribe. So, like I said, it's not a super huge power, but it's definitely something I feel like it's going to be beneficial to D because she is a very strategic player. She has won Survivor. She made it to the jury in the last season of Survivor, which was All Stars. So she's definitely going to take full advantage. And the difference between D and Devins is Devins told D about the Diamond Power veto. D has not told anyone about the BB bribe, which it's not, like I said, it's not a huge power, but she's thinking long term. Obviously, she still is honoring her final two with Devins if they can both make it to the end, but she wants to separate her game from Devins' game at the end. So that would definitely be a game move that she could talk to the jury about, saying that she's had this power for however long before she used it, and she never told anyone. So hats off to D. Congrats to D on winning the America's vote. Unfortunately, she will not be able to be voted in. So that is 3 members of the tool shed that have been voted in the time capsule. So I was thinking, okay, well, if we're going to get a normal week of somebody on the other side of the house going home, then I'm sure that somebody else from the other side is going to end up getting the time capsule next week to kind of try to shift the power around in the game, because we do still have the coin of destiny over there. We have the have not pass. So what other power do we have over there? I believe we have one more power. I would have to go back and look at the powers. There's nothing as strong as, well, the power to play back the restart power, which, but not reset power, where basically if you win, you can play in back-to-back HOH. But that's a very good power to get, because if you win HOH and you make a big move and you normally can't play the next week, as in Kama, he can't play this week. If you have that reset power, restart power, you are eligible to compete in the next HOH competition, which is definitely something you want to have, especially the farther you make it along in the game, because you're going to piss somebody off or lie to somebody. It's the game of deception at some point. So I kind of skipped over BB. So D does have the BB bribe power. It's interesting to see how she is going to use that power throughout the season. It is good for the remainder of the season. So kind of skipping down to the end. So BB Unlocked coming up tomorrow is going to have the Big Brother Season 19 winner, Josh Martinez. He's going to be joining Derek and Taylor to share, and the evicted house guest from tonight, to discuss his perspective on the season, the current house dynamic, and break down the strategic moves unfolding inside the house. So that will be tomorrow night. If you guys want to if you guys want to watch that, I don't usually watch Unlocked because it doesn't. They'll probably show the HOH competition, on Unlock, but obviously that's going to be live tonight. So I'll definitely be watching that live on the feeds, and then I will be watching the feeds live later on to see kind of where it goes from there. So, all right. So after the week 3 eviction, the house wasn't united; it was splintered. There were small groups were working together, but trust was becoming scarce. Conversation shifted from simply making it another week to identifying who could actually win the game. Several players were beginning to emerge as serious strategic threats, while others were trying to stay under the radar before jury approached, which we're not even that close to jury yet. Nobody realized it yet, but week 4 would end with the season's biggest blindside so far, sending shockwaves through the house and setting up an explosive week number 5. So as always, I have separated this into 11 parts. So we will be going to part number 2. All right. So here we go. Part number 2 is the HOH will take control. Who will be the week 4 HOH? With Jason officially out of the game and only 14 house guests remaining, everyone gathered in the backyard for the next head of household competition, which will be hosted by Kame. The stakes couldn't have been higher. Winning HOH means that you're not only guaranteed safety for the week, but also the power to shape the game's direction as jury drew closer. So the HOH was, I believe it was September 28, 1888. It was basically kind of hard to explain how the competition worked. It was called Jack the Ripper. Basically, so Jack the Ripper come back to wreak havoc. So the way it was going to work is there were several different rooms, and Kamo would read out something on the telescript to tell you like to look for keys. Obviously, you don't want to go. There was, I believe, that was the final round. There was keys. I believe it was in the candy room. You got 6 different rooms or something like that. And wherever Jack the Ripper was hiding a personal belonging, you did not, you had to, it's more of a memory comp. So you got a chance to look in all 6 rooms. There would be pictures of faces on walls, former Big Brother players. You could see on the walls as well. And so it was a difficult competition. So after the first round, we had a couple people eliminated. I think Devins was the first. Devins and Barrett, I believe, were no, just Devins was the first person. Maybe Angela. No, it was Devins and Angela, I believe, were the first 2 eliminated from the tool shed. But ultimately, it come down to only one member left of the tool shed to have to go against Lyric and Yash. That was your final 3. They had about 4 different rounds, and so on that next to last round, Lyric and Yash promised, and Haley all promised each other that if they won, that they would not put each other up. So ultimately, when the competition ended, which was the next round, as in week 1, week 2, and week 3, a member of the tool shed emerged victorious in the week 4 HOH, and that was Haley. So congratulations to Haley. Haley has not had a good 3 weeks. Most of the people in the other half of the house just cannot stand her. She's kind of snooty. If you're not with her, she was definitely not happy at the end of tonight. I will say that. So, but Haley from the Tool Shed Alliance has won your HOH. When at this point in the season immediately put Haley in a position of power. The house guests, just 1 second, I gotta get back to the notes. All right, Winning at this point in the season immediately put Haley in a position of power. House guys wasted no time making their rounds to the HOH room, each trying to strengthen the relationship, gather information, ensure their names stayed off the nomination board. So Haley immediately went into who she was going to target. It's going to be a no-brainer. It's going to be the other side of the house. She immediately met with Comet, or it was Devins, I believe, was the first person up to talk to her. And she said, look, I've been through 3 weeks of hell with the other side of the house. She tells Devins, like, she kind of wants to blow shit up, basically. And when you win HOH, you get your own room, your own bathroom, and you get stuff from home. You get a letter from home, and whether it's wine, cereal, your favorite, whatever your favorite snacks are, you get all of that in your HOH room. So she also gets a letter from home, as I stated. She said that she was not going to read that letter from home in front of all them. That when they got up there to see, because when she goes up to get her HOH room, everybody goes up to see it. So it did show on the feeds, and I believe on the second episode that when everybody went up there, she tells them, like, look, thank you guys for coming up here, but I went through 3 weeks of hell. So if you guys have been dragging some of you guys have been dragging my name through the mud. And if that's any one of you guys can just kind of see your way out. Like I said, Haley's kind of blunt and to the point. So I think that is going to come back to backfire on Haley. I think that the game has definitely shifted, especially after tonight. So I can't wait to go through that. So, so the strategy. As Haley settled into HOH, several names quickly surfaced in conversation. Some house guests pushed for a safe week, while others argued it was time to make a move against players that they viewed as growing threats. Throughout the first few days, the Alliance quietly compared notes. Players outside the main voting groups worked to avoid becoming easy nominees. Like I said, the other side of the house is basically all seen the block at one point or another, it looks like so far. So campaigns began before nominations were even announced. Although everyone tried to appear calm, the uncertainty around Haley's plans kept the house on edge. So before I get into the nominees, so as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, the tool shed is made up of Dee and Devins and Angela, which is the core icons. And then you have Haley, Chuck, and Kami, which I believe they're a final three as well. And then you have the last two, which is Drew and Barrett. And I kind of talked about this on, I believe it was week 1 or week 2. My child Kingpin asked me who I felt was the weakest out of the tool shed. And I genuinely thought that Drew or Barrett, because I feel like they're at the bottom of the totem pole of that alliance. So after Haley met with the rest of the tool shed alliance, over the last 2 weeks, they've kind of noticed that Drew and Melody got some sort of either showmance or partmance or whatever they want to call it, whatever the cool kids call it nowadays, but that he's basically playing both sides of the house. He's acting like he's with the tool shed, but obviously he's spending 95% of his time with Melody and Mallory and Lyric and Yash and Taylor and Lala, the other side of the house. So Haley ultimately calls Barrett and Drew up to talk to her. And she said that she does not want to nominate all girls because she just doesn't want it to be where it's guys dominant over the girls towards the end of the season, which that's totally understandable. But she definitely hints around to both of them that she is going to need a pawn. And this is something that just kind of blew my mind from a game standpoint, is she wanted to put up a pawn from her own alliance, which is just absolutely crazy. Power moves tonight. It was man, I can't wait to, it's not that I can't wait to be done, but I can't wait to see who wins HOH tonight, because the house is in disarray. which we'll kind of go over toward the end. But the icon is definitely, for me, cemented a big game move tonight moving forward. I think, I don't know, Devins has got that power. And if you just coming in Kingpin, I've kind of already went over the BB time capsule where I talked about D winning the BB bribe. Obviously, you know how that works because you're a Big Brother fan, but D's power is good for the rest of the game. And don't forget, Devins has that diamond power veto. So if someone wants to get cute this week and just put D up, or just put him up, or one of them two are just left on the block after the veto, then I think we're really going to see the spark fly, because I believe that Devins. I got lost. Yeah, that's why I started like 5 minutes late. I was watching the feeds because everybody's like scrambling. The HOH comp is not going to happen for another couple of hours because it has to play for the West Coast. So by the time we're getting done here, it'll be about another hour before the wall comp, which is a BB Classic. It is the first endurance comp of the season. So hey, like I said, Haley, make sure I forgot to mention, guys, I'm not talking wrestling, so I'm just kind of into it tonight. Make sure you guys hit that like button on the stream. It definitely helps me out in the algorithm. You hope Barrett wins HOH. Yeah, we'll see. I think this is a comp for a Mallory or a D. Kama is really fit, but I don't know. I've watched this for so long. The really muscular guys usually can make it for a while, but I don't know. That coming down all the way gets really difficult. So the lower the center of gravity you have, I think Lyric obviously would have been perfect for this comp. If I had to pick two people that I thought had a really good chance to win this comp, I don't know. I think that Mallory has a good chance to win this. I also think D has a good chance to win this. I think Taylor may have a good chance to win this. I don't think Devins is winning. I don't think Angela is winning. I don't think Lala is winning. Chuck could. I don't really know. I doubt it. Barrett, he's kind of a smaller guy, but he is tall. So we'll kind of see how that plays into the competition. But yeah, we'll talk about that towards the end. So Haley secured the HOH, and she has told Drew. She talked to Drew and Barrett. Both of them were a little terrified and kind of wondering why she was wanting to use somebody from the tool shed as a pawn. If you just started watching Big Brother this season, or if you're new to it, pawns usually go home in Big Brother. So it's never a good idea to tell someone, oh yeah, you can put me up. I'll go up as a pawn, because pawns go home a lot of times in the game of Big Brother. So ultimately, Haley decides that Drew is the target. She's going to nominate someone from her own Tool Shed Alliance. So at the nomination ceremony, Melody does go up and try to speak to Haley, but those two just could not stand each other. So I don't know. I didn't get 100% clarification on this, but I don't know if you watched last season Kingpin. Obviously, there was a girl from my hometown from New Orleans, Lauren, that played. But I seen something on the internet that Melody's sister is actually Catherine Woodman from last season, which I started looking at them. I was like, holy shit, like, they kind of look alike. So maybe we get clarification. I think that Melody like admitted it on the feed, but I believe that Melody is Catherine Woodman's, who was caught up in that scandal showmance last season with Riley. Ultimately, Riley got evicted, and Catherine almost won the wall comp, so she got a second. Essentially, I wouldn't have guessed they were related. Oh, they look a lot alike, man. If you go back and look at their pictures, they look a lot alike. Like I said, it was talked about on the feeds, she was talking to Barrett and Drew, and she said that she was Catherine Woodman's sister. And Catherine's been commenting on under her stuff a lot on Twitter. So yeah, it looks like that's her sister. But Melody and Haley can't stand each other. She went up to her HRH room. Haley said that she had been hearing that Melody had been running her mouth. Obviously, Lala went up there to try to save face, to try to stay off the block, to tell it was Lala or Taylor one. There's so much stuff that goes on. It's really hard to remember everything, but told Haley that Melody and Mallory, especially Melody, was talking about how much she hated Haley. So definitely easy, um, easy nom there. So at the nomination ceremony, Haley decided to nominate. Let's see, it was Melody, Taylor, and Drew as the initial nominations. Melody, I wrote it down wrong. Drew was initial noms. So yeah, so Melody, Taylor, and Drew were the initial noms. There was no love lost between Melody or Taylor with Haley. So Haley did go through with it. She ended up putting up somebody from the Toolshed Alliance as a pawn, but ultimately Drew was up until about, well, we'll get into it, but Drew was definitely the target for majority of the week. So the nomination sparked conversation across the House. While some felt the choices were expected, others wondered whether Haley had a larger plan in motion. Since Big Brother 28 features 3 nominees and a BB blockbuster competition, everyone knew the nominations were the beginning of the week's drama. Taylor, Melody, and Drew each began preparing for the upcoming power veto, hoping to earn safety and improve their position before eviction night. So we're going to move on to part 3. So the opening nominations was Melody, Taylor, and Drew going to the golden power of veto. And we got to see a BB legend from last season as well. All right. So the nominations, part 3, nominations shake up the House with Haley now in power after winning the WEEK4 head of household competition named Jack the Ripper. The focus shifted to the nomination ceremony. Haley officially nominated Melody, Taylor, and Drew. The nomination sent shockwaves to the House as Drew is part of the Toolshed Alliance. For Melody, another week on the block meant once again she had to fight for her place in the game. Taylor suddenly found herself in danger despite feeling relatively secure heading into the week. Drew, meanwhile, became one of the biggest surprises of the ceremony, forcing him to quickly begin repairing relationships and preparing for the competitions ahead. With 3 nominees on the block and the BB blockbuster twist still in play, everyone knew the nominations were only the first chapter of the week. So the House strategy. As soon as the ceremony ended, the House put into strategy mode. Some House guests viewed the nominations as a chance to eliminate a growing competitor, while others wanted to keep bigger targets around as shields for later in the season. Conversations took place throughout the House as players compared notes, tested loyalties, and tried to determine where everyone's votes truly stood. The uncertainty made it difficult for anyone to feel comfortable. Even players who weren't nominated understood that a single competition win could completely change the direction of the week. So, as I kind of talked about earlier, Drew was kind of blindsided. Not really blindsided. Like Haley told him that she was looking for somebody from the tool shed to go up as a pawn. But the remaining members of the tool shed don't trust Drew. Because like I said, he's in a showmatch with Melody, kind of working both sides of the house. So ultimately, Drew didn't know this, but he was obviously the target here moving forward. It sounded like Taylor at the beginning might have been the target, but then it quickly shifted. Kamu and them definitely shifted the target to Drew. So it looked like if Drew didn't win Power Veto or the BB Blockbuster, that Drew could be walking out the door for about 95% of the week this week. For the veto, attention soon turned to the upcoming Power Veto competition. For the three nominees, it represented the best opportunity to secure safety and force Haley to reveal more of her plans. The pressure continued to build as everyone prepared for one of the most important competitions of the week. So coming up in part 4, which I will be moving on, shout out to DW Media for reposting the stream. Coming up in part 4, the house guests will compete in the Power Veto competition titled Murder at the Masquerade, which is hosted by one of the BB icons. She made it to Final 3 last season of Big Brother. That is the queen herself, Morgan Pope, which I think she was absolutely robbed last season, but she was just too tightly wound to Vince. So she ultimately got cut on finale night. So she's going to be hosting this. She actually hosted this competition on her season last year because she couldn't play. So part 4 is titled Murder at the Masquerade. So following Haley's nominations of Melody, Taylor, and Drew, the focus shifted to one of the most important events of the week, which is the Power of Veto competition, which was called Murder at the Masquerade, and is hosted by Big Brother season 27 icon, Final 3. She finished in the Final 3. She got 3rd place last season, Morgan Pope. So just a quick rebrief of how this competition works. Obviously, they go back in time, but it still works the same. You start off with, so the head of household, the 3 nominees, and 2 players selected, which I'm looking back to see who the people. So I believe Melody got house guest choice, and she selected Mallory to play in the veto, and then Haley, the HOH, got house guest choice, and she selected Chuck. So it's going to be Haley, Melody, Drew, Taylor, Mallory, and Chuck competing in this Power Veto competition. So how this Power Veto works is you're going to start off with 0 strikes against you. You can only get 2 strikes, and then you are killed off, basically. So how this works is there'll be 3 people lined up at the table, and then 3 people, 1 person at a time will go back, and there will be 2 wine glasses. One will have nothing in it. Looks like probably cider or something. I'm not sure. And then the other glass has poison in it. So not real poison, but it's on the show poison. So that's YouTube. Let's not get crazy. So you start off one by one. You have to go back to the back, and you have to carry the non-poisonous cup in one hand and the poisonous cup in another. And then you have to decide which house guest you want to try to put that strike on or ultimately get eliminated from the game. So basically, you are going up to the table, and you have to basically put on some sort of poker face or convince that other person to drink out of the glass that has the poison in it, which is this competition is difficult because if you're not good at reading facial expressions, or if you're not a poker player, or if you're good at picking up on people's body language, I feel like Drew really played this competition really, really bad. He was very fidgety and just kind of all over the place. But I don't have the order of the people of the evictions. But I just want to tell you guys how it worked. I do know who the final 2 in the competition was. So Morgan Pope hosted the Power Veto. The house got gathered for the Week 4 Power Veto Murder at Masquerade, set against a mysterious masquerade themed backdrop. The competition tested the player's ability to stay focused under pressure while navigating a twist. All 3 nominees desperate for safety. The stakes couldn't have been higher. A veto win would guarantee safety for one nominee and force Haley to name a replacement, potentially changing the entire week. So, I don't know why I did that. So basically, the final three came down to Chuck, Haley, and Taylor, and all three of them have one strike against each other. So obviously, Chuck and Haley are both in the tool shed. Haley wanted to keep the nominations the same. She did not want to have to put a fourth nominee up with this new twist of three nominees in the blockbuster. It's not good to have to put four people up. So ultimately, Taylor goes back, gets the drink, and she eliminates Haley. So it is down. It is down to Chuck and Taylor, the last two. Both of them have a strike. Chuck ultimately gave Taylor her first strike. She was kind of just whizzing through the competition. She was the last one left with no strikes against her. But then it was Taylor's turn. She was the one ultimately, when we got down to the last two between her and Chuck, Chuck gave her first poison. So obviously it was fitting that them two were the last two as well. So Taylor went back and she got her glass. I don't know what Chuck was thinking. I was thinking to myself, Chuck, you got to get the one with the red in it. Ultimately, he chose to select the one with the white wine in it, and he was ultimately poisoned. So the winner of the power veto, one of the nominees, and that Haley is not going to be happy. Haley is not happy now. Haley wasn't happy the whole week. I don't know what can make Haley happy. Taylor has won the golden power veto, and as Big Brother works, if you're on the chopping block, winning that golden power veto is your only true way of remaining safe for the week. So Taylor secured the power veto, guaranteeing her safety for the week and forcing Haley to make difficult decisions about the remaining nominees. So Taylor's victory completely shifted the conversation throughout the house, with one nominee guaranteed to come off the block. House guests immediately began speculating about who Haley would nominate as the replacement. Lines met behind closed doors. Players pitched different options, and everyone tried to position themselves on the right side of the numbers. For Melody and Drew, the pressure intensified. Both knew they could still be vulnerable depending on Haley's next move. Meanwhile, several players quietly discussing a bigger move, one that could reshape the house if the opportunity presented itself. I put that in order, sorry. Just 1 second. I messed my notes up. I was writing down part 4 and part 5 in a hurry. So, Taylor won the veto. So, the veto ceremony changes everything. After dramatic power veto competition Murder at the Masquerade, hosted by Morgan Pope, the House returned knowing the week had taken an unexpected turn. Power veto winner was Taylor, which she guaranteed her safety. Now Haley has to do a renom. So before we get into the power veto ceremony, this is where the game really started to take a little bit of a turn, because Haley, I think someone has a crush on Camu, but Camu has been kind of crushing and flirting around with the lyric all week. And obviously Melody, Yash, Mallory, and Drew are all like always together, especially Melody and Drew throughout this whole entire week. They've been every time on the beat, they're together. So the Toolshed Alliance did meet, and Camu and Chuck were pushing really hard for Mallory to be the replacement nominee, because obviously she's won a power veto, she's won a blockbuster, she's obviously the biggest threat, which in my opinion she was the biggest threat, and probably Haley's smartest move to put up there, even though if her target was truly Drew, that would have been her best move. I feel like to try to guarantee that Drew and Melody were the last two sitting on the. They're splitting up Drew and Melody. That was the original plan. Obviously, Showman says we saw Lyric and Rome didn't make it but 2 weeks. Um, so Haley got really upset at Kamu and also Chuck for pushing the narrative of Mallory instead of Lyric. She even brings up, oh, Lyric goes from guy to guy and all this. The whole point of this is Haley during the HOA ceremony competition promised Yash and Lyric that she would not put them up, but she didn't really say that she wouldn't renom them. So Yash is in a good position, I feel like, or he was before tonight, but not being mentioned as a renom here. It was basically between Mallory and Lyric. Haley has a personal vendetta against Lyric, I felt like, because her and Kamu kind of been fighting back and forth. So Mallory goes up to the HOH room and talks to Haley. Haley guarantees her that she's not going to put her on the chopping block. She's not going to name her as a renom. Lyric goes up there, and Lyric is very quick to throw Mallory and Melody and all them under the bus to Haley. Now, Lyric is an attorney in Hawaii, so normally with an HOH, it's not super bitter. That kind of strategy probably would have worked. But because Haley has this thing out for Lyric and she has this thing for Kame, it's absolutely not going to work. So she just tells Lyric that, she did tell her she wasn't going to put her up, but she didn't tell her she wouldn't renom her. And that if she would be that quick to throw her friends and her alliance members under the bus like that, because Lyric was like, oh, I want to work with you guys. I'm not going to put any of you guys up if I win HOH next week or any week. I'm not coming after you guys. Ultimately, she really was going to come after them. So after Haley went back and forth for a majority of the week, at the veto ceremony, Taylor officially used the power of veto on herself, removing herself from the nomination block. So, how it always works in Big Brother, if you win the veto and you're on the block, the HH has to name a replacement nominee. So, during the veto ceremony, Taylor removed herself from the block, forcing Haley to rename a third nominee, which would head into tonight, which is eviction night and blockbuster night. So, after careful and long deliberation, Haley decided that the third nominee was going to be Lyric. So that's how the house has just been getting just ran roughshod. Poor Lyric, poor Melody, poor Mallory. Yash was put up week 1. Lala, Taylor, they've all seen the block at some point. So Barrett's the only one from that side that was also in the tool shed that has not seen the block yet. And I think that's because Barrett is just really close with D. So the Lyric is the replacement nominee. So the final nominees going into tonight's episode, before the BB Blockbuster, is going to be Drew, Melody, and Lyric, which if I'm Drew at that point, I'm starting to freak out because that is the worst case scenario for him. Because at that point, the target definitely looked like it was going to be on Drew. Barrett knew that the target was on Drew, and then even though he was close with Drew, before that renom was made, Barrett was made well aware from D that Drew was the target, but Barrett was smart and he kept his mouth shut. Because ultimately he could have been the one that was on the other side of that boat. So our final nominees is Lyric, Melody, and Drew. The move immediately changed the complexion of the week. While Drew remained on the block, Lyric was suddenly thrust into danger and had very little time to build support before eviction night. So the new nominees were Melody, Drew, and Lyric. House guests quickly realized the vote was no longer straightforward. Conversation intensified, alliances quietly met behind closed doors, and different plans were floated throughout the house. Everyone tried to position themselves on the right side of the numbers. So we're going to go to part 6, where we'll be talking about everything that transpired tonight. So before we get into tonight's episode, so as I mentioned throughout this whole stream, Drew remained the target, but D and the icons, mainly D and Devins, D come up with a plan to Devins to, she said, look, like, Drew went and talked to him. D was like, look, she said something to Devins, well, what if we just keep Drew? Drew's going to take a shot at Haley, Chuck, and Kamu. He's not going to come after me, you or Angela. And ultimately, D went up. So they had, so D convinced Devins, which Devins would want to talk to her about that anyway. Then they convinced Angela. And then they had a meeting in the HOH room with the whole Toolshed Alliance minus Drew. And so at that point, the target shifted from Drew ultimately to Lyric or Melody. They still wanted to kind of break up Drew and Melody, or Haley did. But it's crazy because in the last 24 hours, D is just so good at these games, and that's why she won Survivor, and that's why she made it to jury and All-Star. She is such a strategic player. She ultimately was like, well, at the end of the day, like, yeah, like the Toolshed is our alliance, but we got to start playing for ourselves, and that's what separates D from. And she's never played Big Brother before. The coin was not needed. So the coin has not been won yet, Kingpin. I thought that Drew had won. Everybody did. I thought that Drew had won the power, but ultimately, I don't know if you watched Sunday's episode, but that power, D is the one that won the time capsule this week. The coin of destiny is still up for grabs. Drew did not have the power. It was just D. She has the BB bribe, which she can ultimately bribe somebody with the game move, whether it's an HOH, a veto, throwing a competition, any of that, and she will win $5,000. So the coin of destiny is still up for grabs. So I thought Drew had the coin too, just from the feeds and everything that he was saying about flipping a coin and all that. Ultimately, he did not get picked by America. It was D. So the coin of destiny is still up for grabs, and if Drew wins this week, he has an opportunity to get a power. I don't know who's in the lead, but I think it's probably going to be Drew or Mallory that probably gets the time capsule coming up Sunday, maybe. We'll see. I like that Survivor to make a move. Yeah, D is the catalyst behind all that. She definitely flipped the whole house around. So it's going to be interesting to see going into week 5 how that's going to play, if she's going to be a target. I don't know. With Devins having that diamond power veto, we'll see. So getting into eviction night, Drew, Melody, and Lyric would be competing in the BB Blockbuster comp. And this comp was, I don't know, it was very close. The name of the competition was called the Paw Patrol Dino Puzzle. So basically, it was just 2 sets of a puzzle. CBS has been promoting the new Paw Patrol movie. Drew ultimately loves puzzles and he loves Paw Patrol, which I don't know, I watched a lot of it having kids, but yeah, very interesting stuff there. So Julie Chen Movies, obviously I always forget her. She is the host. She's been the host since the beginning. When she said go, they have to rush and put together the bottom half of the puzzle and then put together the top half of the puzzle, completing the Paw Patrol looking puzzle, the little dino puzzle. So as the competition started, Lyric, being an attorney, she's super smart. She jumped out to a really early lead. She got all of the bottom 4 pieces in, but the top piece of with the Paw Patrol puppy's head, it looks like she had it either turned the wrong way or she slowed down or something. I don't know what happened, but ultimately she was in a pretty big command and lead. But Drew, like out of nowhere, Drew and Melody were like neck and neck after about 15 seconds or so. And then Drew, they all had the top, they were all working on the second layer. But Drew kind of took control. He got the top half of the puppy dog on the puzzle, and then it was just 4 pieces at that point that you had to stick in to be able to, and then you had to go hit the buzzer. So ultimately, I thought Lyric had this starting off, but Drew put his puzzle together, but there was a little bit of a piece of the puzzle that was not completely pushed in. So he hit the buzzer the first time. He's like, holy crap, like what I do wrong? Like there was one little small piece that was sticking out. He went back and fixed that. And Drew hit the buzzer went off. But as soon as he hit that, he didn't have to hit the buzzer again, which was kind of weird. But ultimately, Drew won the BB Blockbuster competition, which he hasn't been doing much of anything. He looked awful in the veto. I did not think for a second that Drew was going to beat Lyric in a puzzle tonight. So huge win for Drew. So ultimately, we were going to find out if all the work that Dee and Devins and Angela had been putting in, or if this was going to be a huge blindside. So obviously, Drew and Dee and Devins have been working overdrive in the last 24 hours. I watched the feeds till pretty late last night, and Dee and Devins were definitely in overdrive to what I call now we're officially playing Big Brother. It's not going to be a one-sided affair for the rest of the season. So, the 3 nominees faced off in the BB Blockbuster competition. Paw Patrol Dino Puzzle with elimination on the line. Every second matters. The competitors race to complete the challenge and earn final chance at safety. The pressure was immense. For one player, victory meant surviving another week. For the other 2, it meant leaving their fate in the hands of the house. Drew is the Blockbuster winner. Drew rose to the occasion and won the Paw Patrol Dino Puzzle, removing himself from the nomination block and guaranteeing his safety for the week, which left Melody and Lyric as the final nominees. So at this point, I'm like, Melody's definitely got to be going home unless Dee and them, everything that they've been working on to flip the house. I was like, it's probably going to be like an 8-3 vote. Melody leaves. They split up the showmats. Tool should stay strong. So, with Drew saving himself, we're going to the vote. With Drew saving himself through the BB Blockbuster, the final nominees for week 4 became Lyric, Melody. So, the result immediately sparked a new round of strategy talk. While some house guests pushed to keep Lyric, others quietly began organizing the votes to send Lyric home. Throughout the days leading up to the live show, the target shifted multiple times, and several players believed the vote could still go either way, which is something I've kind of been talking about behind the scenes. However, a larger group that was headed by the icons, Dee and Devins, and Angela was quietly coming together. The plan was to blindside Lyric on eviction night without tipping off the house beforehand. Will they be able to do it? As the campaigning came to an end, both nominees believed they still had a chance to stay, setting the stage for one of the biggest surprises of season 28. So the final 48, coming up in part 7, the final 48 hours before eviction are filled with whispers, the last meeting, and last-minute scrambling as the house secretly locks in the vote. So let's get to part 7 as we talk about the blind side. Who is going to join Ashley, Ron, and Jason as the 4th member evicted from Big Brother season 28. With Drew securing his safety by winning the BB Blockbuster competition. Part 7 is called The Blind Side Comes Together. The game came down to 2 final nominees, Lyric and Melody. What appeared to be a close vote on the surface became one of the most unpredictable stretches of the season. As eviction night approached, a quiet majority began to form. Instead of revealing their plans publicly, several house guests agreed to keep a vote secret to avoid exposing the blind side before the live show. Even some players outside that group were left unsure what would happen. So the stage is set. When the live eviction began, very people knew how decisive the vote would actually be. The groundwork had been laid for the first major blindside of Big Brother 28, a vote that would send shockwaves to the house and force everyone to rethink who they could trust going into the upcoming wall comp head of household for week 5 HOH endurance competition. So we're going to go to part 8 where I will reveal everybody's votes and who was voted out of Big Brother season 28 week 4. So as Julie Chen Moonves revealed it was time to vote, each eligible house guest entered the diary room. There's going to be 11 votes, so it can't be a tie. So the outgoing head of household Haley would not be voting. It will not be a tie. So I don't have the specific order, but I'm going to go through the votes in the order that I have them written down. Drew, who just escaped being on the block the entire week, one of the BB Blockbuster comp, he has voted to evict Lyric. So it's 1 vote Lyric, 0 Melody. Kamu, who has been pushing to keep Lyric all week and thought that was the original plan, has voted to evict Melody. So that's 1 vote Lyric, 1 vote Melody. Barrett, who is really working both sides of the house well and very aligned with D, has voted to evict Lyric. So that's 2 votes Lyric, 1 vote Melody. Josh, who has a final 2 with Lyric, would that stand the test of time only in week 4, has voted to evict Melody. We are tied at 2 votes each. Taylor, who had a lot of conversations with Drew and Melody in the last 24 hours, has voted to evict Lyric. So it's 3 votes to evict Lyric, 2 votes to evict Melody. Chuck, who did push to keep Lyric, him and Kama did push to keep Lyric. They did not even want her on the as the renom to begin with, has voted to evict Melody. We are tied 3-3 with 5 votes remaining. Who will be evicted? Lala, which I don't know what she's doing in the game. She's just a floater at this point. Has voted to evict Lyric. So that's 4 votes Lyric, 3 votes Melody. Mallory, who is absolutely just a mess. Her 2 closest allies in the game, Melody and Lyric on the block. It's a no-win situation for her. I don't know how she did it. Mallory has chosen to evict Lyric. So that's 5 votes to evict Lyric, 3 votes to evict Melody. With 1 more vote, Lyric will join Ashley, her boyfriend Ron, and Jason as the 4th member evicted from Big Brother season 28. Devins, well, let me skip around. D, who orchestrated this whole thing and is a complete mastermind. She's playing the game. She's playing one heck of a game. Has voted to evict Lyric. So with that being said, guys, Lyric, we will run through the rest of the votes. Devins also has voted to evict Lyric, and Angela, to round out the trio of the icons, has also voted to evict Lyric. So by a vote of 8-3, Lyric will join Ashley, her boyfriend Ron, and Jason as the 4th member evicted from the Big Brother season 28 house. And Lyric was devastated, and the look on Haley's face when they read the votes Oh boy, it's going to be a long night on the feed because they are trying to when the eviction ceremony when the show went off the air and then the feeds come back on, they were all scrambling trying to figure out what went wrong. Devin said, "Oh, we were told last minute that all the votes were going to be on Lyric. I thought everybody was on board." Paranoia and the real game of Big Brother has officially started. So by a vote of 8-3. D was successfully being and Melody is thankful to Devins and D and Angela because Drew told her after the show was over. He said, "Look, Kamu, Chuck, and Yash all voted you out. So those are going to be Kamu, Chuck, and Haley and Yash are going to be the targets. I feel like if Drew, Melody, or Mallory win HOH, so it's going to be interesting to see." By a vote of 8-3, Lyric, you have been evicted from the Big Brother house. Lyric's reaction showed genuine surprise as it became clear that the house had kept the plan hidden until the very end. What many expect to be a close vote turned into the first major blindside of Big Brother season 28, with the majority alliance successfully keeping the flip a secret. Lyric said goodbye to the remaining house guests before walking out the front door, becoming the fourth house guest evicted from the game. The house forever changed. Inside the house, the remaining players immediately began processing what had just happened. For some, the blindside strengthened trust with the other side of the house. For others, it raised serious questions in the Toolshed Alliance about who had been working together behind the scenes. Shout out to A Moment in Time for reposting the stream. With the game moving into week 5, the fallout from this vote would likely shape relationships for weeks to come. So we'll move on to part 9. There is 11 parts. So Lyric will join Ashley, Rome, and Jason as the fourth member evicted. So part 9, winners, losers, and alliance fallout. Week 4 completely changed the direction of Big Brother season 28. What began as a straightforward head of household reign ended with the season's biggest blindside to date, proving that the social game was becoming just as important as competition wins. The 8-3 eviction of Lyric exposed new voting lines and showed that a powerful group of players were beginning to quietly influence the game. So, let me go to my biggest winners of week 4, which, in my opinion, I just put this because she won HOH, but I don't think ultimately after that eviction she's the biggest winner. But I would have to change that, but I'm not going to change it. It's too much work. Haley successfully navigated a complicated HOH train, which she was happy about the result. Despite the veto being used and the blockbuster change of nominations, her week ended with the House voting out Lyric. She has lost complete control of the game at this point. Drew, who should have been number 1, truthfully for me. Drew's week was a roller coaster. After starting as the initial nominee, he fought for his game in the BB Blockbuster competition. Paw Patrol Dino Puzzle and earned his safety with a clutch victory. He then joined the majority by voting to evict Lyric. Melody, who is Catherine Woodman's sister from last season. Melody survived another week on the nomination block. Although she remained in danger until eviction night, she secured enough support to stay in the house and now enters week 5 with another opportunity to rebuild her position in the house and empower. The biggest losers of week number 4 is Lyric. She was a casualty. Blindside. Lyric entered eviction night believing there was still a path to staying, but instead became the victim of the season's biggest blindside. The 8-3 vote showed that the support Lyric thought was there had quietly disappeared. Kamu, Yash, and Chuck. I would agree. The 3 votes to keep Lyric exposed that these players were on the opposite side of the majority for this eviction. As week 5 begins, they'll need to regroup quickly to avoid becoming targets themselves. Alliance and house dynamics. Week 4 reinforced one important lesson. The strongest alliances weren't necessarily the loudest ones. Rather than openly controlling the game, much of the strategy happened in private conversations. The successful blindside demonstrated that several players were willing to keep their plans hidden until the live vote, making it harder for others to predict where the house truly stood. Trust is now at an all-time low. Every conversation heading into week 5 will carry even more weight. Heading into which will be coming up in a little bit over an hour. The Week 5 HOH comp will be the wall comp, which has been around forever. It's an endurance comp. Who will win, as Haley cannot compete. So we'll go to part 10. We're almost there, guys. What a great week. Great week. Week 4 power rankings, looking ahead. With Lyric's shocking 8-3 blindside eviction, the game has officially entered a new phase. The easy votes are over, and every competition and relationship will matter even more from this point forward. So, Week 4 power rankings. Haley, she had an outstanding week until the eviction. She won head of household, navigated some twists, handled the beta and the blockbuster changes. Her influence was at an all-time high. I have her arrow going down, but she was my Week 4 power ranker. Drew, arrow up. Drew went from being in serious danger, completely turning his week around, winning the BB blockbuster competition, and helping secure the house flip. He won the Paw Patrol Dino puzzle. Not only saved his game, but also positioned him well heading into Week 5. Barrett, with an arrow going up. Barrett continues to stay in the middle of the house while voting with the majority. His social positioning remains one of the strongest in the game. Devins has quietly built solid relationships to the house by staying off the radar while remaining connected. Devins is becoming an increasingly dangerous player. Devins with D is the orchestrated the flip on this vote to get Lyric out. Angela continues to strengthen her social game and voted with the majority. She's well positioned if the current power structure remains intact. D, with an arrow up. D has maintained stability and avoided becoming a target. The solid social game keeps D in a comfortable position. Lala, after surviving previous weeks, Lala has settled into a much stronger spot and continued building connections. Melody, although Melody survived eviction, spending another week on the block shows she still has work to do. Escaping eviction gives her a chance to reset. Taylor, winning the power veto, Murder at the Masquerade was a huge moment. Taylor proved capable of winning when it mattered most and entered Week 5 with some confidence going into this Week 5 head of household wall comp competition. Endurance. Mallory was torn so much with having to vote out Melody or Lyric. Mallory remains difficult to read. While not the center of action, Mallory's position could become valuable as larger targets begin to emerge. Kamu, arrow down. Voting against the majority could leave Kamu vulnerable if the current power group remains in control. Yash now finds himself on the outside after the eviction vote and will likely need a competition win or new alliances. Chuck, like Kamu and Yash, Chuck's vote to keep Lyric could make him a target moving forward unless the power structure shifts back to the tool shed, which I don't know how much the tool shed is going to be able to trust each other moving forward. Looking ahead to Week 5, the house now turns its attention to one of the most iconic endurance competitions in Big Brother history, and that is the wall. Week 5 head of household competition is the wall comp. Every remaining house guest except outgoing HOH Haley will battle to outlast one another on the wall. With trust shattered after Lyric's blindside, this competition has potential to completely reshape the game. The winner won't just earn safety, they'll decide who gains control of the house after one of the biggest blindside moves of the season. So we will move to the last part. Final thoughts, and Week 5 begins. Week 4 will be remembered as the week that Big Brother Season 28 changed. Truly changed. What began with Haley's head of household reign evolved into a week full of shifting strategies, competition wins, and one of the season's biggest blindside surprises. Between the power veto competition, the murder at the masquerade, Taylor's clutch veto victory, and Drew's Big Brother blockbuster win and Paw Patrol Dino puzzle, the nomination changed dramatically before eviction night. In the end, the house chose to make its move. Lyric was blindsided and joins Ashley, Rome, and Jason as the fourth member evicted from Big Brother Season 28 by a vote of 8-3. Week 4 competition results. The HOH, Haley. The initial nominees were Melody, Taylor, and Drew. The power veto competition was called Murder at the Masquerade. The host was Big Brother Season 28 She finished third in Big Brother season 28. Icon Morgan Pope. The winner was Taylor. Power veto ceremony. Taylor used the power veto on herself, and the replacement nominee was Lyric. The BB Blockbuster competition was called Paw Patrol Dino Puzzle. The winner was Drew. Final nominees was Lyric and Melody. At the live eviction, seeing the first blindside of the season, and now we have a separation in the house. Lyric was voted out in a vote count of 8-3. The votes to Big Lyric was Drew, Barrett, Taylor, Lala, Devins, Mallory, D, and Angela. The 3 votes to Big Melody was Kamo, Yash, and Chuck. So tomorrow night on BB Unlocked, this week's special guest is going to be Josh Martinez, who joined BB Unlocked with former Big Brother winner Derek and Taylor to discuss the season and break down the strategic gameplay heading into Week 5. The episode also revisits the BB Time capsule twist, including the BB Bribe, a game-changing advantage that continues to add uncertainty and strategic depth into the season. As soon as Lyric exits the house, the remaining 13 house guests is going to be headed directly into one of the most iconic endurance competitions in Big Brother history, the Wall Comp. So Week 5 will begin at midnight p.m. Eastern, 11 p.m. Central Standard Time on the Big Brother live feeds. So that is it, guys. That is your Big Brother Season 28 Week 4 recap show. As we have seen a balance of power, the tool shed is definitely, the tools are falling out of the tool shed. We've seen a major blindside orchestrated by D and Devins, and Lyric joins Ashley, Rome, and Jason as the 4th member evicted from the Big Brother house. So who will win the illustrious, iconic wall competition and gain power for Week 5? Who will the nominees be? Who will win the BB Time Capsule this week? Will they win a power or will they win a disadvantage? Who will win the Golden Power veto? Will that veto be used? Will there be any powers played this week? We got some powers floating around. We got the Diamond Power veto and D's BB Bribe power. Who will the Diamond Power veto be used? Who will win the BB Blockbuster comp coming up next Thursday night? And who will join Ashley, Rome, Jason, and Lyric as the 5th member voted out of the Big Brother Season 28 house? Join me. Make sure you join me next Thursday night live at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the Big Brother Season 28 Week 5 recap show. All right, so thank you guys for tuning in to the 109 people that's watching live. Shout out to Greg from DW Family Media. Make sure you follow DW Family Media on X for reposting the stream. Shout out to my boy Tribal Kingpin. If you are watching live on YouTube, please hit that like button on the stream. Leave your comments and concerns. If you are on the West Coast and you are able to go back and watch the stream, let me know what you thought of Week 4. The blindside eviction of Lyric. She did say on the one quick thing I left out. She did say to Julie on when she was evicted during her goodbye messages that she truly is in love with Ron, and she said marriage is definitely not out of the question. And she told Julie she would be invited, and her dad would be singing at the wedding. So wow, 16 days. We'll see what happens. Things happen when you get outside the house. Shout out to Kingpin again. And shout out to the DWE media page, and also shout out to A Moment in Time for reposting the stream. So we are live on my YouTube channel. Once again, if you are on the West Coast and you go back and watch this, please hit that like button and leave some comment. Tell me what you guys thought of the Week 4 recap show in the Big Brother house. I'm getting ready to get prepared to watch just a illustrious wall comp, my favorite competition of Big Brother. I just love it. Love the endurance part. It can go on for an hour, for at least an hour. It's probably going to go for an hour at least. So we're also live on my X page and DWE Television X page as well. Make sure you follow DWE Television on X. Everyone affiliated, start with Miami the Great, who was live earlier with Inside the NFL Mind, who's getting you ready for that Hall of Fame game. I don't know if it's over by now. It should be getting close. I haven't watched a snap of it. And be on the lookout, guys. I will be making a post sometime this weekend, as I have a couple of fantasy football leagues. I am going to try to get filled up. I'm going to try to shift my attention to that while I have a day off Saturday. Try to work on getting that fantasy, at least a couple of the fantasy football leagues. So if you're interested in joining a fantasy football league, hit me up or Tribal Kingpin as we try to get the league filled up, get the dues paid, and get a draft date set before opening week, which will be the first week in September. So yeah, Miami was live earlier with Inside the NFL Mind. You can catch them on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern. And then me and Miami will be back week 1 for the EVP Miami NFL recap show. Also, you can watch Inside the NFL Mind with Miami on DW Television, also on Talk It Up podcast on YouTube, and also on Twitch at DW TV, DW Television on Twitch. Also on Saturday, on this coming up Saturday, you can join Miami and his co-host, the CFO of DWE and the HR of DWE, Final Boss Baby with 2 B's. Make sure you follow her. Now with DWE Radio, you can catch it live on DWE Television on X, Talk It Up podcast on YouTube, DWE TV and DWE Television on Twitch, and also on Spotify. Next up is the World of Greg. Make sure you follow him on X. You can catch him every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern for the rundown with Kyle the Man Anthony as they get you ready for the upcoming Monday Night Raw. Everything that's going to be going on, as Monday Night Raw is shaping up to be a good one. Tomorrow is the first SmackDown after SummerSlam. So got a lot of good wrestling coming up as we head to Money in the Bank. Also, Kyle the Man Anthony, speaking of him, you can see him on Mondays with World of Greg for the rundown, but every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, you can catch Kyle the Man Anthony and myself for Queens of WWE. You can go back and watch, if you haven't, last night's episodes on DW Television on X, also on my YouTube page. Queens of WWE episode 8. Queens of WWE episode number 8 was last night. So we will be live again this coming up Wednesday for episode 9 of Queens of WWE, where we'll be going over everything from the Raw, SmackDown, and NXT with the women's division, which is starting to cook up. So, also, Director Reg, After the Slam podcast on X, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, Smoke Sessions podcast, and Sports Jedi Network, and everyone affiliated with Gimmick Table Media. Once again, this has been your Big Brother Season 28 Week 4 recap show. I will be back shortly to tell you guys where you can find me on my socials, what I have coming up for you guys for the rest of this weekend.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
There are a lot of podcasts out there, but only one with this kind of energy.
Welcome to EVP Show Recap Prediction Sports. Let go, Show Recap Prediction Sports
In one podcast.
Welcome to EVP Show Recap Prediction Sports. Let go.
All right, once again, this has been your Big Brother Season 28 Week 4 recap show. It's part of where you can find me on my socials. It's scrolling across the bottom of the screen. All my links are in my bio. You can find me on Twitter /X at EVPCJP. All the way up at the top of my page is my YouTube link. You can retweet that as we're on the road to 400 subscribers. If you are subscribed, make sure you turn that notification bell on, where you'll be notified when I go live. On Instagram, it's a business account, but you can see all of my upcoming streams, all my upcoming videos made by Miami and Greg for my upcoming streams, which the SummerSlam, not SummerSlam, SmackDown videos are already posted on Instagram. My YouTube link is in my bio as well. On TikTok, you can find me at Brady to Goat 21. That's at BRADYGOAT 21. Same thing. My YouTube is in my bio, and you can also see all of my upcoming videos for my upcoming streams. Last but not least, most importantly, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, if you cannot find it on any of my social media platforms, go to the search bar and type in at the EVP Show. I have over 1,000 live videos, 400 or 500 YouTube shorts, and also a couple of pre-recorded videos. If you are subscribed, turn the notification bell on and come and join me for my daily wrestling content and help me get to 400 subscribers, guys. We are on the road, 319, so we're 81 away from 400. So thank you guys for that. What I have coming up next for you guys. Tomorrow night is the first SmackDown since SummerSlam. What will be the fallout with Cody Rhodes and Randy Orton, CM Punk and Kevin Owens, and Chelsea Green is now going to be the women's champion with Rhea Ripley's meniscus knee surgery. Find out. Come join me at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time tomorrow night for the SmackDown recap show. And then Saturday, I'm off. But Sunday, come back and join me for the last doubleheader of Sunday, as there will be my last LFG show for season 3. But first, come and join me at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. There will be 4 giveaways, 2 cash giveaways, and 2 giveaways to my exclusive news channel in the Discord. It's probably going to be about a 2.5, 3 hour show. So you guys definitely don't want to miss. I have a lot of stuff to go over from everything that has happened over the week at SummerSlam and all the way through up until we're getting ready for Money in the Bank and Sunday night main event in Atlanta, Georgia in early September and through August the 30th Heat Wave. And also we got the big Raw coming up in Mexico where Roman Reigns is going to defend the World Heavyweight Championship. And then you can come back later on Sunday night for the last LFG season, last episode of LFG Season 3 for me on the channel. I will be back next season for episode 4. But you can come back later on that night at 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time and join me for the LFG Season 3 Episode 16 recap show. With that being said, guys, thanks again to everybody tuned in to the Big Brother Season 28 Week 4 recap show. And hopefully you guys enjoy your Friday. Come back and join me tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the SmackDown recap show. I am the EVP from the EVP show, Golden Boy of DWE. DWE is the only place to be. Hopefully you guys enjoy your Friday. Come back and tap in and join me for the first SmackDown after SummerSlam at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time for your SmackDown recap show. And go enjoy that wall comp on Paramount Plus. Go vote for your America's favorite for the BB Time Capsule this week. Come back and join me tomorrow night for the SmackDown recap show. Good night, everyone.